Hello students, hope you are all well at your homes. So let's start with another topic of chapter 9, that is laws of motion. We have three laws of motion basically, and in this video we will discuss first law of motion. Before understanding first law of motion, we should understand some important terms. First important term is inertia. Inertia is nothing but a natural tendency of an object, according to which that object resists the change in its state, whether it is the state of rest or it is the state of motion. Okay, so to understand this, let's take an example of a moving bus. A bus is moving with a particular speed, suppose 50 km per hour, and the passengers are sitting in that bus. Suddenly the driver applies the brakes. Then what happens? We all know the passengers sitting at their seats will move forward, their body move little bit forward. Why is it so? Because of the property of inertia, we can explain this. The passengers are moving with the same speed as the speed of the bus, okay, that is 50 km per hour. So whenever a moving object is moving, it will have a tendency to remain in that state. Okay, so according to inertia property, that object will try to remain in that state, and it will that means it will try to remain in that motion with the speed of 50 km per hour. So when driver applies the brake, when the bus driver applies the brake, the bus is going to decrease its velocity, and so the passengers, but passengers are not applying any force. So the inertia, according to inertia property, what happens? The passengers will try to move with the same speed for some time, but because they are sitting in the bus, so what will happen? They will have to stop. Okay, but their body will move, they will try to move in the forward direction because bus was moving in the forward direction. Okay, one more example we can take that is given in your NCERT book in the form of activity, is that of a carom board. Whenever we are having a carom board, and in which we are stacking the striker and all the carom coins on that carom table, then through that stack, whenever we are striking on that stack of or pile of carom coins, what happens? Sometimes that we are striking only one carom coin and it will move away like this. The situation is given in the form of activity in your NCERT book, like activity 9.1. In this case, the carom coin is sliding out the lowest one, okay, and the other carom coins which are stacking one over the other, then they will fall down and they will remain at their positions. Okay, so why they will remain at their positions and just coming down? They are coming down just because of gravitational force, but they are having their rest position. Okay, so they will try to remain at rest because earlier they were in rest and the force was applied on the lowest one. Okay, then the lowest one was removed from that stack. Okay, so the pile is not, all the pile of carom coins are not moving because of the striker, because as all the coins wants to be in the rest position. Okay, this is also because of inertia of rest. So we have three types of inertia basically: inertia of rest, inertia of motion, and inertia of direction. Okay, so inertia is basically related to mass. This is also very important to understand. The property of inertia is related to mass. If the object has more mass, then it is having more property of inertia. That means it is having more tendency to resist the change in its state. Okay, for example, if I am having a rubber ball, or if I am having an iron ball, okay, I am just applying force on both the balls. Which ball will move? The ball which is having less mass, that is rubber ball, will move. Okay, why the iron ball will not move? Because they are of same size, but iron ball is having more mass, so it is having more inertia, and so it is having more tendency to resist its change of state. So it will oppose, the iron ball will oppose the state change. That means it does not want to be in motion, it will try to remain at rest, like this. Okay, so more the inertia, more the mass, more will be the inertia. This is very important to understand and very important to remember. Okay, so what is inertia? We have understood that it is nothing but it is a natural tendency of any object to resist the change in its state, whether it is state of rest or it is state of motion. Any state it can be. Fine. So we have three kinds of inertia. Inertia of rest means if any object is already at rest, it will try to remain at rest. Inertia of motion means if any object is in motion, then it will try to remain in motion with the same speed. Okay. Inertia of direction means if any object is moving in a particular direction, it will try to move in that direction only. It does not want to change its direction also. So all these three types of inertias can be understood with the help of the same example of the bus. Okay, it is very easy to understand. Inertia of rest, when we are having, example I am taking, when we are having inertia of rest, when we are at rest in the bus. Suppose the bus is stationary bus. We are considering stationary bus. So in a stationary bus, when suddenly driver starts the bus, then what happens? Our body is at one position, it is stationary, and driver moves in that direction, in particular direction, in the forward direction. Our body moves backward. So this happens with all of us. We have experienced this thing. So our body is moving in the backward direction. So why backward? Because our body was at rest in that position and it wants to be at rest, but the driver is making us move along with the bus. So because we are sitting in the bus, we have to move our body. Our lower portion of the body, which is in contact with the bus, has to move. So our upper portion of the body wants to move back, wants to remain in the state of rest, in the previous state. Okay, so in this case we can easily explain that if our body was at rest, so it wanted to be at rest. Secondly, when our bus was moving bus, we are taking an example of moving bus. Okay, when the bus is already in motion, that we have taken earlier also, this example we have discussed. When our bus is moving already, then suddenly the driver applies brakes, it wants to be in rest, So our body does not want to be at rest. It will resist the change in its state because of the property of inertia, right? So it will become inertia of motion. It will be an example of inertia of motion. Thirdly, inertia of direction. In that case, we can consider a bus moving in a particular direction. Moving bus in a particular direction. If a driver is changing its direction, that means suppose a right turn is there and driver wants to take a right turn, then our body will try to remain in the same moving straight condition. Okay, but our driver is moving the bus, so our body wants to change the does not wants to change the direction. So what happens, our body will, if the bus is moving towards right, our body will try to move towards the left position, or it is showing that our body tries to be in that previous position, previous motion, that is previous direction. It wants to go to straight direction, right? So it is an example of inertia of direction. That means a body, an object does not want to change direction also. In a state of motion, it does not want to change the direction also. So let's move on to the main topic, that is the first law of motion. First law is very much similar to this concept that we have understood just now. First law says that if an object is in motion or it is at rest, then it will try to remain at rest or in motion unless and until any external unbalanced force is applied on that object, right? So what is the statement of the first law? The statement of first law, it states that an object will remain at rest if it is at rest, or it will continue to move with same velocity if it is in motion, unless and until any unbalanced external force is applied. So what is this unbalanced external force? Unbalanced external force is the force applied from external part, that means from outer surface or from outer environment of that object, not from inside of that object. And unbalanced force means that will change its state. We have understood in the balanced and unbalanced forces that we have to, the unbalanced forces are the only forces that will change the state of the object, and balanced forces will not change the state of the object. So that is why we have written here unbalanced external force, right? So I hope you understood this first law of motion. This first law of motion is also known as law of inertia because it is completely related to this term inertia. So this statement is the statement of first law, and this is also known as law of inertia. It is very important to know this, because sometimes the question comes based on this, that what is the law of inertia. Okay, so all these laws I have not discussed earlier. All these laws are given by Newton, we all know. So these are also known as Newton's laws of motion. So laws of motion are also known as Newton's laws of motion. Fine. I hope you understood this topic well. Thank you.